Furious world leaders have moved on from Donald Trump in the United States. They've thrown Donald Trump out of the core of their alliances, moving Trump in the U.S. to the sidelines. Now they're just going to try to wait Donald Trump out and also assert themselves with power and strength and call out Donald Trump and forge new alliances. Just look what's happened over the past 24 to 48 hours. We're talking about major alliances formed between Mexico and Europe, announcing a massive trade deal. I'll talk about that in a moment. France, Germany, UK announcing a major deal. Heck, even the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which do not get along right now, joined together with Qatar to stand up against Donald Trump and his regime. You've got Canada making a powerful announcement in Sweden about its protection of Greenland, its dedication to Arctic security, and specifically not so veiled threats against the Trump regime that Canada will be there to protect the sovereignty of Denmark and Greenland. And you also have diplomats just mocking the Trump regime like, we don't really understand what the hell you did, where you removed 5,000 troops that were supposed to go to Poland, U.S. troops, and then you said that they shouldn't go to Poland. Poland doesn't need them. And then you randomly said because the president of Poland won the election last August, you're going to put the troops back in Poland. I mean, Poland's happy that the commitments are actually being made, but people are like, you remove the troops, you put the troops in, there's zero predictability. Also, you have world leaders at the foreign minister level also mocking Donald Trump in the United States, that there's no one who's a subject matter expert in the U.S. government at all on uranium enrichment, uranium dilution, what constitutes weapons grade, how can you dilute certain amounts of uranium, how do you transfer it, key things, because Donald Trump got rid of all of these positions. All of the Iran experts, nuclear experts have been fired and purged. And also yesterday, yet another Trump regime official resigns or is forced to quit. Tulsi Gabbard leaves. And so you've had all of these generals and military leaders, and now the director of national intelligence resigning, and the rest of the world is looking at the United States, looking at what Donald Trump has done, making America first, America all alone. And foreign ministers are walking with confidence now for the first time. So let's talk about what went down again. You had France, Financial Times reporting, seeking to join a joint German-UK program to develop long-range missiles as Europe moves to strengthen its independent strike capabilities without relying on the U.S. The project would develop ground-launched missiles with ranges above 2,000 kilometers. European officials see the effort as more urgent after Donald Trump canceled plans to deploy U.S. Tomahawk missile battalions to Western Germany. Also, the U.S. running very low on its munitions, the THAAD, the Patriot systems. 50% of MQ-9 Reapers were destroyed in this catastrophic war in Iran. And so the U.S. seen as not reliable at all. And I'll talk about this as well. Could have mentioned this in the beginning, that lots of these countries are looking to Ukraine as being really a world superpower, at least when it comes to technological innovation, cutting-edge warfare, drone interceptors, submersive unmanned vessels, informational technology about how you deal with and counteract modern drone warfare. So you also had the UAE joining with Saudi Arabia and Qatar to urge, I'd be putting it gently, to warn, to issue ultimatums against the Trump regime. Give diplomacy a shot with Iran and do not start this war again, because you're going to destroy our countries. You don't have the ability to protect us, clearly. And so if you want to still use our airspace and our air bases that are here, you need to be very much focused on diplomacy and not on going to war. Well, all of that's happening too. I mean, you have China and Russia taking advantage of Trump's weakness, expanding their intelligence gathering operations in Cuba as well. Latest reports from Wall Street Journal is that they've roughly tripled the personnel since 2023 to staff electronic eavesdropping facilities aimed at U.S. military sites there. China runs 3 of Cuba's 18 known signals intelligence sites, and Russia operates 2, with some jointly run by Cuba, with main targets being U.S. Central Command in Tampa and Southern Command near Miami, which the Trump regime is also trying to use as pretext for invading Cuba, along with the 300 drones as well. Let's bring you to what was going on, though, in Mexico City. In Mexico City, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and European Council President Antonio Costa held a joint press conference in Mexico City following the signing of a landmark free trade agreement between Mexico and the European Union. Trump attacks Mexico, Trump attacks the European Union. They join forces. They outline plans to strengthen economic cooperation, investment, and strategic partnership. We've got a clip that I'll show you in a moment of Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president, talking about zero tariffs on so many goods, products, services, especially that are needed in the digital age. Antonio Costa, the European Council president, writes, "The European Union and Mexico are natural allies. We are reliable partners and friends. And today, with the signing of the modernized global agreement and the interim trade agreement between the EU and Mexico, our relationship is set to reach a new, more mature and ambitious level." Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, says the following: "We're opening an EU-Mexico summit of historic importance. There is so much Europe and Mexico can offer and achieve together. A strong partnership starts today." And then they outline building bridges, bringing people closer, boosting trade from a place of respect and dialogue. Today, the EU and Mexico seal their alliance with signing this modernized global agreement. More than 45,000 EU companies export to Mexico. And then it talks about how this is a win for everybody, where you have in Latin America, Mexico, the second largest economy, 130 million people. Let's show you what Ursula von der Leyen had to say here. Let's play this clip.
And this brings me to our trade commitments. The goal here is simple. We want to create even more jobs and value on both sides. With swift ratification, tariffs on virtually all Mexican agri-food exports to Europe will disappear. Imagine the opportunities. European companies, drawn by Mexico's talent and dynamism, already support more than 5 million jobs here, and there is much more to come. Mexican small and medium-sized producers will benefit greatly because this agreement promotes sustainable practices and it protects the iconic Mexican geographical indication from Tabasco's cocoa to tequila, you just name it.
Now, as I noted too, you have Canada, who's also been involved in linking Trans-Pacific Asia with transatlantic Europe, Europe to Mexico. Donald Trump likes to talk about a golden dome. I almost like to talk about it as connect the dots, where I guess the dome, if you will, or the dots that are connecting are leaving America in the past. America all alone, and sealed in this, dome, if you will, while the rest of the world is bridging their alliances, talking about cooperation, talking about predictability, certainty, free trade, multilateralism, as Donald Trump's out there. What's Donald Trump doing? Posting videos like this of himself and Stephen Colbert. Play this clip. or Donald Trump posting weird photos of himself, threatening Greenland, AI images of himself, like leering over Greenland while threatening to conquer it and take over it so that he can extract oil and sell oil to the world, even though Greenland doesn't allow oil drilling for the past 5-6 years. It's been banned. You know, there's more to life than oil and making money. There's a beautiful country, sovereign, peaceful, loving, healthy, environmentally friendly, right? You know, and speaking of which, to me, that's what defines Canada as well. And you had Anita Anand of Canada, one of their top ministers, was at this NATO summit, foreign minister at this NATO summit. And here she talked about Canada opening up its consulate in Nuuk. Here's what she had to say. Play this clip.
We're also having a meeting of the A7, the Arctic 7 countries after the NATO foreign ministers meet, and I'm very much looking forward to speaking about the necessity of cooperation in defending and protecting the Arctic region. We, Canada, opened a consulate in Nuuk, Greenland in February to stand strongly with Greenland and Denmark in their sovereignty and territorial integrity, but really protecting and defending the Arctic.
And similarly, you had Germany's foreign minister, Wadful. He talks about the importance of linking up with Ukraine and Europe linking up with Ukraine. Play this clip.
With a view to strengthening European security, which also serves the purpose of strengthening the European pillar within NATO, we propose further intensifying cooperation with Ukraine. It's about ensuring that we, through our European NATO partners and Canada, consistently meet Ukraine's specific support needs. The message is very clear. We will not waver in our support. Ukraine always has the staying power. It can always count on our support. That must be the message from Ankara. Therefore, it is still time to be ready for negotiations. We must enter these negotiations with a position of strength.
And I'll go back to Anita Anand right here, saying that we're also here to express our solidarity with Ukraine. Here's what she has to say. Let's play this clip.
And finally, I will say that we are also here to express our solidarity in the short and the long term with Ukraine. Canada has put on the table $25.5 billion in multiple forms of support for Ukraine, military, humanitarian, economic, financial support. And we are one of the world's largest per capita donors to Ukraine to date. We've trained over 47,000 members of the Ukrainian armed forces. We have an initiative to bring the Ukrainian children home from Russia, where they are being indoctrinated after having been stolen from their families. We will be holding a summit for the return of Ukrainian children in Toronto on September 28th and 29th to follow up on the summit that we held last week in Brussels. Even
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who I've seen a lot lately kind of behave more of like appeasing Trump. We'll just be nice. We'll say appeasing Trump. Here's what he had to say as well about why are we we should not be dependent on the U.S. for anything. I mean, if you factor in Europe, NATO, non-U.S., we could be wealthier. We could be bigger. We could be more powerful. This is what the rest of the world is waking up to. And as I said, America relinquishing its position, a position that was what brought America its stature in the world. And, here we are. Here, let's play this clip.
But I always felt that it is strange that a very rich part of the world, Europe is a very rich, maybe the richest part of the world, needs the support of another part of the world to defend itself against the Russians, to the extent it has now, where we are over-reliant on one ally being the United States. And what you will see over the coming years is a more equal, is a shift, a gradual shift, where the Europeans take this bigger responsibility, with the United States firmly anchored in the transatlantic relationship.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.